Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Well, hi again, everybody. It's Rob Godlewski with the Think Small podcast. And today our guest is Justin Norton. Justin is the CFO of Brackus Tile and Stone based in Denver, Colorado. Justin, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Rob. It's great to be here.
So, Justin, tell us about Brackus Tile in the Denver area. What do you do and what kind of problems are you solving for your customers?
Brackus was started by Jeff Brekhus back in 1999. Jeff kind of fell into the tile and stone world. It wasn't something that kind of he started out as a career at. He was actually this kind of dates some of us back when there was the Stapleton Airport in Denver, Colorado. He was a jet mechanic for Continental. They had a major hub. And when DIA was built, Continental was going to have a major hub there, and then kind of at the last minute said, we're not going to do that. Everybody can transfer to LA or to, I believe it was Cleveland, Ohio. And at that time, there were a few other jet mechanics, and they kind of wanted to stay in the Denver area. And one of the guys got it was like a fourplex condo type thing to do some remodeling on it. And asked Jeff if he wanted to help with it. And he said, yeah, I'd be down for that. And they needed to do these 4 bathrooms, and none of the people had experience with tile, including Jeff. And Jeff said, well, I'll figure it out. And he kind of went and got like the Home Depot or Builder Square, probably at that time, the book on like how do you do tile. And he said
Oh
the
my
first
gosh.
bathroom took him like 2 days to do. And then the next one took him about a day. And then the next one took him most of the day. And the last one he did in about half a day. And he liked it and was like, oh, I like this is something I'm good at. And so he just started doing, just residential small tile jobs. He went to it was an outreach program at DIA for people that would be interested in being vendors and working with DIA. So he went out there for it, and his first project was tile work at an Auntie Anne's pretzel. And over the years at DIA, it grew and it grew and it grew. And as where we stand right now, we've done about $100 million of tile work out at DIA, be it directly with like the main concourse. If you've gone out there recently and seen the beautiful white tile in the Great Hall, it did a large portion of that. And then with restaurants and then a lot of the lounges. So we just finished the Delta Club Lounge, which is beautiful. And then the B West Lounge for United, also great project. And, literally started in an Annie's pretzel and growing into a business that
Wow.
we do about 16 million dollars a year. In 2007, he expanded to do stone fabrication. So like your big slabs of stones with cutouts for like sinks and islands and that kind of stuff, and started
Oh, wow.
that. We do about 70% is commercial work with GCs. And then I'd say about the other 30%
Okay.
is residential. But the lion's share of the residential is very, very high end homes. So homes in Aspen, homes in Vale, Cherry Hills Village, if you're familiar with the Denver area. So yeah, that's kind of where the business is growing to. I think the big thing in terms of problems and solutions we're trying to come up with for our customer base is, dollars, top of everybody's mind with
Of
increased
course.
material costs, labor shortages. And there is a lot of competition in the market, and so trying to demonstrate that, well, we're typically not going to be the lowest bidder on the project. We can do very, very high end, complex, large tile and stonework throughout the Colorado region. And it's something that's kind of cool is we've had some projects that we issue a bid and GC said, hey, you're too high, and they've gone with a lower priced contractor, and they've had either performance issues or delays on schedule, and those contractors reach back out to us to get projects turned around. So yeah, I mean, just very, very strong reputation. We can do very complex tile and stonework that pretty much no one else in the Colorado region can do, and
Hmm.
just trying to bridge that gap between the price and then the quality of what we offer.
Sure, sure. So I can imagine in getting this business started, and especially doing mostly commercial work when the business was started, it sounds like you probably had a lot of sustainable work, ongoing work as the
Mhm.
business was growing. But was there ever
Mhm.
a time in the business's history where, sales kind of slowed down and contracted a bit? And if so, how did the business manage itself through that period, um, operationally and from a human resources perspective as well?
Yeah, and I mean anyone. I've spent most of my career in construction entities, so typically been at significantly large general contractors. So top line revenues north of $2 billion.
Oh
So
my
this is
goodness.
by far the smallest organization I've worked with. But I mean, just similar to the large GCs, like we saw a pretty big downturn in 2008, and I think
Yeah.
Brackus handled that very similar to a number of the larger GCs. It was trying to find okay, how can we reduce our overheads? How can we try to reduce our direct costs, but not shoot ourselves in the foot, so to speak? If you just lay off everybody because you don't have the work, when the work comes back, especially with skilled trade like in tile, if you've laid off everybody, they're going to get picked up at other jobs, and then you may
Oh,
not have that workforce. So what Brackus has done is really tried to put a lot of effort to keep our direct labor guys busy even when there's turndowns. We also looked for other opportunities like with a lot of the tile and stonework we do, and it was kind of a byproduct of kind of the COVID, and there was a lot of the protesting and the riots, and there was pretty significant graffiti and damage done to a lot of
oh,
buildings in the downtown Denver area. And so, we'd be out there, fixing if stone was damaged or tile. And one of the other things that we saw is there's a lot of graffiti and that kind of stuff. So we bought some of the equipment to be able to clean that, the hot shots and those types of things. So
sure,
that's kind of
sure.
the other thing that we tried to do is pivot to where there were uh, other ancillary businesses where we could provide value to try to backfill some of those slower times. I would
Well,
say Brackus has been very blessed over the years that being positioned as someone that can really do high end complex work, that market's been able to carry us when I'd say more of your normal house remodels, new tile, new baths, that type of stuff, that can kind of
hmm.
slow down. But we've been able to kind of, between the maintenance side, the fabrication, like I said, a lot of the high end residential that we've done to try to mitigate some of that lost revenue when you see
Sure,
those
sure.
construction downturns.
So I'm sure the decision to enter into the fabrication of tile was a pretty big pivot or
Mhm.
expansion of your
Mhm.
services. right? Where before you were mainly the labor provider of a tile
Mhm.
job, on a
Mhm.
job. Uh,
Yeah.
what were the learnings coming out of that in offering this brand new service,
So
to the business?
so to clarify, when I was talking about fabrication, I was talking about like your large stone pieces, like actually doing the fab. So like we didn't have the ability, if someone they had tile work, we obviously could source the tile and install the tile. But
Sure,
then
sure.
like if you had a large like quartzite countertop or large granite countertop, we were having to use subcontractors to fabricate and install those large stone pieces.
Right.
So yeah, I just
So
want
then
to
you brought
clarify
that
that for your
in-house, correct?
listeners. Yeah, just that we're not like manufacturing, like building like tile, like manufacturing tile. It's the fabrication and installation side on like the large stone pieces
Right. Okay.
that you'll see with that as well. And really kind of Jeff kind of fell into that. He had a good opportunity, and this was actually, it was in that '08 downturn.
Okay.
There was a fabrication shop that had all the equipment, and
Uh,
they ended up folding because of the house market crashed in Denver. And so the
mhm.
landlord, we were renting a space adjacent to it. He approached Jeff and said, "Hey, this fab shop, they've got all this equipment. I know you do tile.
Hmm.
Would you be interested in possibly, essentially getting the equipment for free and getting into the fabrication side?" So that's kind of how he got into that. And just that's really been great for the business, because now we can do start to finish, the tile, the fabrication, and then the installation, all the stone and the tile as well.
Wow.
So our customers, it's been really good, because as anytime you subcontract, there's a lot of great subcontractors out there, but you're still at risk because you don't own the shop, you don't, it's not your labor. And so there is that reputational risk that the tile side comes in and they crush it. The fabrication that you've outsourced, maybe, they didn't cut it exactly correctly,
Hmm.
or the installation wasn't tight and up to the standards that Jeff's established on the tile side. So
Interesting.
that was kind of fell into it somewhat, but it was something that Jeff had been looking at for a
Okay.
while, but
So
before that move
opportunity
was
knocked
made.
and Brackus
Yeah,
Tile answered the door, right?
yeah.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
Well, then let's talk about, some better times, right? When business was great and sales were expanding rapidly. But
Mhm.
we all know that navigating a business through times of rapid expansion brings upon itself a whole new different set of
Mhm.
challenges and problems. So can you talk about a period where rapid growth also kind of stressed the business and how you navigated the business through that?
Well, I can actually kind of speak to that because that's what we're currently navigating. So, we kind of,
That's
and
great.
this is overall we did see a downturn in terms of our revenues, end of 24, going into that first quarter of 25. So I'm kind of at this now. We've hit this trough, and even when you're doing everything that you can to mitigate your overheads, reduce your direct labor costs in those downturns, that's still stressful on cash, and it
Of
reduces
course.
your capacity on your line of credit. And then to add a stressor, you've used cash during that downturn, and now, when you've got all this new work and all this new backlog, and again, we're working with GCs and we're typically on pay when paid terms. So if the GC is slow to get paid from the owner, that means the GC's slow to pay the subcontractor like us. So we're kind of in that role right now. And what we've done is we've been very proactive in terms of trying to manage better payment terms with our GCs. The other thing that when I came on board, typically we would, I would say almost to a fault, if the GC was like, hey, we need you to make this change, or, oh, we're not ready for you, and we got guys kind of sitting around idle, like we wouldn't charge that time back to the GCs or formalize a lot of that change order language before we began on it. And just in construction, if you're trying to change order approval after the fact, it just delays payment. It creates a lot of issues with that. So we've been a lot more proactive with that, addressing change order language. We do pre-project reviews now, and we do a lot on the front end with the GCs, and give them hypotheticals to say, like, okay, like if you tell us we're ready to work on Monday and we get out there Monday and you're not ready for us, how are we going to handle that idle time?
Right.
If there are these change orders, understanding that can a lot of the times cause, additional overtime, accelerated schedules, different workers. Like, how are we going to handle that? So addressing that stuff on the front end. The other tool that we've leveraged that has been incredibly helpful to manage working capital is there's a company called Build, BILLD.com. And I would definitely recommend all your listeners, if you are a subcontractor or even a smaller GC, what Build does is they allow you to get short-term material financing specific to projects. So it's been incredibly beneficial because, as I said, we've kind of come out of that, that downturn that tightens up your cash, the availability on your normal line of credit through your bank. And so what Build's allowed us to do is to start to rebuild our cash position, and at the same time not require, tying up the line of credit, our normal line of credit with our bank on that. So it's an incredibly easy process to set up. It took me, I would say, an hour and a half filling out some documents, getting set up on there. And then literally it's as simple as, like, if you get a new project, you drag and drop the executed contract into Build. They review it typically within 24 hours. They'll say thumbs up or thumbs down that this is a contract that they could offer material financing on. And then at that point, you submit your invoice for your material to them, and then they pay the supplier directly. And then you get 90 to 120 day payment terms with them. So typically on our private jobs, we require material deposits up front, but a lot of our larger GC clients and working with entities like City and County of Denver, DIA directly, a lot of the times they don't let you pre-bill for material. So that's allowed us to use that short-term financing, that I can order the material, get that going, and then start the billing process with the GC at that time. And then, 60 days in, we're getting paid for the GC, and then we can pay out of that position. So we're not having to find that cash internally within our working capital or our standard line of credit to be able to facilitate that. So that's been a huge win for us in terms of managing that now we're at this point where we're growing. So it's like, you got to buy more material. You're starting on those projects. And it's allowed me to use the line of credit to help fund the payroll of those projects. And then by the time it gets through the billing cycle, we're able to pay the material financing, and then we're replenishing our cash. So it's allowed our projects to stay cash positive and not rely on internal cash or the standard line of credit for that.
Well, Justin, that's a great example of finding a creative financial solution to funding your growth as the growth is coming in, and rather than rather than the accountant coming into the owner saying, sorry, we can't take that
Hmm.
job. You're really going
Hmm.
out there and finding interesting solutions. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
the call out to build,
Yeah.
BILLD, is
Yep.
much appreciated.
Yeah. 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 No, no.
So, so Justin, talk to us about or excuse me, the next 3 to 5 years. What does the future horizons look like for Brackus Tile? Are there new service offerings or geographic expansion in the mix for Brackus?
So I am really excited about the next 3 to 5 years here. We're on track to probably have record revenues in 2027, and on track to have record earnings as well for 2027. There's just a lot of work that's getting generated, and a lot of it's been nice. We're getting back to essentially sole source negotiations with GCs on a lot of projects. So it's very much a
Great.
partnership, and so that's really exciting for us. In terms of kind of new expansion, we are now becoming more heavily involved with direct importation of a lot of the natural slabs that you're sourcing out of Italy, Brazil, Turkey, and doing that internally. And so that's an area that we're really excited that there's additional margin that we'll be able to generate, being able to import directly, more so than we have in the past. So it's something that we're definitely expanding on that piece. We also have a new product line. It's called Sapien Stone, and
Hmm.
so kind of people aren't that familiar with kind of your countertop material. So you have natural quartzite, which is just slabs of quartzite. Uh, Quartzite's a great material for heat resistance. So it's if you have a hot pot on your stove, you can place it right on the quartzite. It's not going to burn.
Hmm.
The disadvantage of a quartzite is there is some porousness to it. So you have to keep it sealed. And if you spill something on it, like red wine or anything, you need to make sure you're cleaning it up very quickly. The other downside of quartzite is it's very expensive because it is a natural quarried stone. People are familiar with quartz countertops, and quartz countertops, it's ground up quartz that's mixed with an epoxy to resemble the appearance of a natural quartzite stone. It's more reasonable than a pure quartzite or a pure marble. Uh, it is impervious typically to staining because it has that epoxy in
Hmm.
itself. So it's a completely sealed. You don't have to reseal it or anything like that. The disadvantage of quartz is because it is that epoxy. If you take a hot pan off your stove and put it onto it, it will actually burn the quartz. So then you can looks like kind of these like shadowed halos
Right.
into it. So it's cheaper, it's more impervious to staining, but you don't have the heat resistance that you do with a
Okay.
natural quartzite. So sapien stone, it is actually a porcelain. And when you hear porcelain, you go like, oh, porcelain, like I think of porcelain dishes and they just break. So it's called a 4D porcelain. And literally you can put a natural quartzite or marble next to this porcelain product. You can't tell the difference from the appearance.
Wow.
It's four dimensional, so if there's graining, you see it on the edge as well. And but the porcelain it is essentially a 3D image of a natural quartzite. So the advantage of this new product is it offers the heat resistance of the natural quartzite, the stain resistant of the quartz product. So you're getting, the stain resistance and the heat resistance, but you're doing it at a price point similar to your engineered quartz countertops versus the cost of the quartzite. So we're the only distributor in Colorado for Sapien stone. And so our showroom, we've ordered containers that are getting shipped in with this material. We've already pre-sold some of it. So that's another area that we're excited for growth going into the next 3 to 5 years as well.
And locking in exclusive distribution for your area is probably a huge advantage for you as well for this new product. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, that sounds like exciting stuff. Justin, this has been a great conversation and learning more about the tile and stone industry and the history of Brackus Tile. Again, our guest today has been Justin Norton. He's the Chief Financial Officer with Brackus Tile in Denver, Colorado area, serving the Colorado region. Justin, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It was great connecting with you.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?